Hi, my name is Cindy, and boy do I have so many things to say. I'd like to start off with saying thank you so much for clicking on this link and viewing my channel. Welcome! I like sharing my stories and I like making friends, and sometimes it puts me in really awkward situations and I like telling my friends about it. And so I thought, hey, might as well tell you guys about it so you guys can know my story and learn from them. Okay, so we're gonna start off with one of my favorite stories so far. So what happened was, so back in April, one of my clubs that I was in, we went on a school trip to Broadway. We went to go see Finding Neverland, and I recommend it so much, you guys. If you guys are ever in New York City and decide like you have to do something, go see Finding Neverland. Go to Broadway. Go see a play. Like, I love those. So far it was good. I was sitting with some of my friends and some of my classmates as well, and it was during intermission. So intermission happened, you know, the lights turned on and everything, and I was just sitting in my seat looking around waiting for the show to start back up again because I was broke, you know. All the memorabilia cost money, and nobody's got time for that. So anyway, intermission's only like 15 minutes for those of you who don't know. So I spent about like 13 minutes just staring and waiting, looking at my phone and everything like that. I spent most of the time at intermission just looking around, talking to my friends, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this girl walking. And obviously it's a crowded theater, and walking is nothing special. But this girl, she looked a little different. She didn't look like she was from New York, which is, I mean, it's Broadway. People come from all over the world to see it. She looked pretty interesting. So I kept watching her. I mean, that is not creepy at all. But I kept watching her, and she was walking back to her seat. I was like, wow, this girl, she looks different. I don't know why she caught my eye. She just did. And as she was walking back to her seat, she was sitting next to a man who I assumed was her father. And he got up to let her go sit down because the show is starting back up in a couple minutes. She bought what she wanted to buy, and all of a sudden, once this man turns into my direction, I see he's wearing a hat, and not just a hat.
A white hat.
And for those of you who don't know, I'm Mormon, so Brigham Young University is a Mormon school. And so they're pretty well known for their merchandise and what they sell. And anyone who's gone to BYU is mostly a Mormon, for the most part a Mormon. And most likely they have some sort of memorabilia. And the BYU store has tons of things for people to buy and to wear. And just memorabilia for people to take home after they gone to the school, or even if they're just visiting, or even relatives bring it back. And I'm like, whoa, this guy's a Mormon. I gotta go talk to him. And I don't know what came over me. Maybe it's because I'm a Mormon in New York. There's not much of us. So I ran out of my seat. I knew intermission was starting soon, so I dashed over there. And he was like he was in my row, but like 10 rows down. So I had to go around this way, if that makes sense. And I had to go. I was like, excuse me, sir. And he was like so like weirded out, like, why is this child talking to me? I don't know her. And I was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help but see your hat. And you're a Mormon. And and then I continued to explain to him, this terrified man wondering what was happening, why I came up to talk to him. And I was like, oh hey, my name is Cindy. I'm a senior in high school. I started to do my college applications, and one of the schools I was looking at is BYU. And he was like, oh, are you LDS? I was like, oh yeah, I'm LDS. And he was like, oh, that's great. That's so much. BYU is so much fun. You'd love it there. Blah 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 blah. And then we continued to talk, and he was like, oh, here, take my number and I'll take yours, and then we'll talk about it some more if you want to, and I'll explain to you some more if you need some help with your application, stuff like that. You'll love it there. I went there. Maybe you'll have some great experiences. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, let's go, let's do this, because he was, you know, Mormon. You Mormons do this. And he was like, oh wait, let me introduce myself. And by this time, I totally forgot his name. I wasn't really paying attention. I was more excited into the situation than anything else. And he was like, oh yeah, this is my daughter, and her cousins were on a class trip. We're from Utah. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And they were talking about how he was a chaperone in their trip or something like that. and how their choir was going to sing somewhere. I forgot where. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna send this link to you. I'm sorry. And I was like, I knew you guys were Mormon, so I had to go talk to you guys. And he was all cool and chill with it, and this is what Mormons do, guys. I'm sorry. And we exchanged numbers, and I went back to my seat, and we finished Finding Neverland, which was amazing again, I say, by the way. After the play, I thought no one had noticed me because, you know, it was intermission, everyone was going everywhere. And as we walk out, my friends come up to me. They're like, Cindy, why'd you just run up to that guy? What happened? Did you guys exchange numbers or something? And it was so hard explaining how Mormons weren't in a cult. My friends are so weirded out. They're like, so you just randomly went up to a guy? It was like Mormon Intuition that you knew? And I was like, hey, yeah, kinda, sorta. We exchanged numbers, and they thought it was so weird. It kind of was, but you know, it's Mormonism. And my friends were kind of like, so you went up to a guy in New York City and you just had a feeling. And I was like, yep, that's what happened. And my friends were like, Mormons. And so later on in that day, I was like, you know what? I might as well text this guy, find out what BYU is really about. And I think later on in that week, and I texted the man wanting more information about BYU. Thinking back on it now, I probably shouldn't have given my number to a random stranger. Don't talk to strangers, kids, unless they have the Weimer. Just kidding. That's bad, don't do it. If you liked this story, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Tell me in the comments down below the craziest thing you've ever done to a random stranger. And don't forget, if you'd like, you can follow me on Instagram and the Twitter, and let me know if you want to hear more stories. Okay, that's all I have for today. Bye bye!